Hi everybody, and welcome back to the DVD bonus extras of my Lesson 3 Correlates of Winning video. What we're going to do today, as we did last time, is I'm going to walk through the process of what we did in the video. I'm going to do it in R instead of Excel. I wanted to separate these two things out because I didn't want to scare maybe folks who weren't interested in learning statistical software. But those of you who are interested, here it is. I thought it was important to show you, and really to show you that R is no more difficult than Excel in so many cases, and so much more powerful. Before I get started, let me just remind you, I am Chad Murphy. I'm Soccer Metric on Twitter. Do me a favor, if you don't follow me already, if you found this some other way, leave a comment on YouTube and let me know how you found this, and then follow me on Twitter. If you enjoy the videos, please share them on your Twitter account or on your Facebook, wherever you are, especially Facebook where I don't have any sort of presence. Subscribe to my channel, tweet them, share them. Make sure we can get as many eyes on this as possible. We've been doing great so far. About 400 folks have watched my video according to the analytics. And I'd like to see that number grow even higher. So the more people who see this, the more excited I'll be to do more and more videos. So with that out of the way, let's just go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to do is the first thing we do every time we start this, is to load all the relevant libraries. And for this one, we have two of them actually, and I have this lower, but I'll move it up to the top here because that's where it should be in my code. The first is to load ggplot2. If you haven't done this already, if you didn't watch the previous video, you need to install the package. So install.packages parentheses quotation marks ggplot2. That loads, this library loads it into our memory so it knows that we're going to do some ggplotting. The next one we're going to do, and actually we probably don't have this installed yet, so we're going to do install.packages ggrepel. And I'm not going to run this line because I already have it installed, but this will install the ggrepel package. I'll talk about what that does later. You'll actually be able to see it better than I can explain it. But for now, we're going to go ahead and load that library into memory, and life is good. So what I want to do here is load the data frame for possession and points earned into memory. So we're going to do that. I'm going to call it POS, P-O-S-S, and we're going to do the arrow and read.csv because it's a CSV file, and you're going to get this from my website if you're interested in doing it yourself. Here's the address. Just type in that exact line. It'll load it for you. Life is good. It's very powerful how R can download files from the internet. It doesn't have to actually be on your computer. You can just get it from the internet. You don't have to junk up your hard drive with a bunch of my CSV files if you don't want to. To see what we did there, we're going to run a line called head parentheses POS. And if you look down here, it shows us the first 6 lines of the POS data frame. So it has a column of the team name, a column of possession percent, column of points. Easy enough. The next thing we're going to do is run the simple correlation. And the correlation formula is easy enough here. It's just core, and then parentheses, POS $points, which is the vector of points, the column here, right, you're looking at. And then POS $possession percent, which is the possession percent column. It's just like the command in R, actually a little simpler because you don't have to do some weird highlighting everything. And it's 3 characters shorter, so life is good there. We're going to run that line, and it's going to show us the correlation is 0.834864. Should look familiar, right? 0.83 correlation. It's positive. It's a very high number. Life is good. We're seeing, again, there's a strong positive correlation between the points a team earns over a season and their average possession percent. The next thing we're going to do is save this into memory. And I'll show you why that is later. But for now, we want to create an object called core_vec. And I think I've said this before, I call the objects not random names, because that's not how you use the word random, but names that are short, easy to remember. You don't want to type something super long like this is my correlation vector every time. But on the other hand, you don't want it to be meaningless like df you see a lot of on Stack Overflow. Something you can remember, but something easy to type. So this will be core.vec, and it's going to be a 1-unit vector. I think it's a scalar in computer programming terms, or at least in matrix algebra terms. And right here is the core pos dollar points, pos dollar possession percent line. We're going to take the correlation and we're going to round it right here to 2 decimal places. And I will upload this code. I'll annotate it for you and upload it so you can have it for yourself and try it. But what that's going to do is, if you run it and you type in core.vec, it's going to show you that correlation vector is 0.83, the first 2 decimal places of the actual correlation. Again, life is good. We've got it saved. We're going to do something exciting with that later. The next thing we're going to do is name the rows, basically. And we're going to do that with the command row names, parentheses, pos, store, pos $x, because as you see up here, if you look down here, pos x column is the name of the team. I want to turn that into the row names. We're going to use that for our ggplot in a second. So we're going to run that line, and if we do head pos again, you can see there's row names, there's the x column. So we're ready to plot. You may have noticed, actually, a quick note, I changed this. I gave you an easier code. The one I had earlier had all the names typed in. That's not the most efficient way to do it. This is the easier way to do it. So I wanted to give you that. So we've got P. We're going to store our ggplot object as P, just because that's the way I was taught to do it. You can call it whatever you want. Store ggplot. The data is the POS data set. The aesthetic is possession percent, points, and then the label is going to be the row names of our POS data frame. I'll show you what that is in a minute. I'm going to create one more object before we plot, and we're going to call it txt, short for text, obviously, and paste, which is basically how you create a string object, a text object, if you will, in R. Paste. The correlation is, and then core.vec. So if we run that line, let me just show you what happens here. We get correlation is 0.83. Life is good. I'm going to come back and we're going to revisit this, but the last thing we're going to do is the ggplot object here. So we have P plus geom_text_repel, which I'll talk about again in a minute. xlim 45 to 58, because that's basically the range of the possession percentages. The lowest team has around 45, the highest team has about 58 or so. The ylim 0 to 90, accidentally dragged that. Ylim 0 to 90. The lowest team doesn't have 0, but I like to start at 0. The highest team, Chelsea, had I think 87 points, so we give it a little bit of a cushion there. So I rearranged a couple things. Look at me up in the upper right-hand corner now. Very exciting. I'm moving on up in the world. So what we're going to do is go through the ggplot code. And so we have P, which is our ggplot object. geom_text_repel, we're going to talk about in a minute. Again, you've got your x limit, your y limit. I set those to appropriate values. Your geom point. And we're going to create a scatter plot, and so we want dots on the line. So that's what geom point is. It's a geom, I don't know what to call geoms. It's sort of the thing you place on the plot, and it's going to be a bunch of points. The aesthetic is the color is going to be red, and I'm using the British spelling for my friends across the pond, as you all say. Our theme, legend position, equals none. I'm removing the legend. Y label is points. X label, average possession percent, because that's what we're graphing. This next line is probably the most complicated of it. Axis title Y, element text angle equals 0. And what that does is it makes the text horizontal. I like horizontal text labels for the axes. It can throw off the graph a little bit, so some people don't do it. But we read horizontal text easier than we read vertical text, right? So I want it to be horizontal, make it easier for everybody to read, everybody to see. The plot title itself, element text face equals bold. I want the text, the title, to be in bold. Plus, everything has a plus between it to say it's another thing we're adding to the ggplot. GG title, Pep is right. A geom smooth. And what this is going to do is a smooth line between all the points. So instead of connecting all the points directly, it's going to draw a smooth line representing the trend. That line type, I want it to be dashed because why not? And the method's going to be LM, which stands for linear model. Plus one more thing, or annotate. It's going to be a text annotation. It's going to be at these points, centered at these points. The label is going to be txt, which is this right here. The correlation is 0.83. Font face equals bold. I want it to be bold, and size equals 4 because I think that's a good size. I'm going to run these lines right here. And sure enough, there's your plot. Here's your title. It's separated into 2 lines. That's what the /n does. Here's all the teams with their names on it, which is an improvement over the Excel file. We've got the dots, the red dots we talked about. We've got the dotted line representing the trend, and we've got the 95% confidence interval. Life is good. This geom text repel here, I want to go over that real quick. It's a cool function in R that actually is relatively new. I think it came out a month or two ago as I record this, beginning of 2016. And what it does is it places all the text, the labels, onto your graph for you. But the repel separates them so they don't overlap. And you can set some values so they don't overlap better. You can have it repel even more from the point, because right here we have Leicester and Sunderland are on top of each other a little bit. But for the most part, they're separated. And that's good because if you place it right on the point, Stoke's going to overlap Swansea, Spurs and Liverpool are going to cluster, all these down here are going to cluster. Not good times. The geom text repel is actually a really good way of doing things. It separates them, makes your plot so much more readable. Life is good. And here's your graph. That's all there is to it. Pretty simple, right? I mean, the ggplot line was a little longer than just clicking the scatter plot options in Excel, but it's also so much better. I'm going to go through one more example just to show you what it looks like. The rest of them are all exactly the same. I'll upload it online, but this is the process. So that's really all there is to it. So once again, just because repetition is the best way to learn things, we're going to download the second file. And it's going to be shots outside the area for our good buddy Philippe Coutinho. Create a new object called shots. Read CSV. Here's the file name. Here's where I uploaded it online. Do that. Headshots. I always do that just to make sure everything loaded correctly, everything looks the way it's supposed to do. You don't have to. I do it. I force my students to do it, and I think it's helpful just to make sure so you don't get 7 lines in and say, what happened? I don't know what's going on. Same thing. Row name shots is that shots $X column. So there you go. Core.shots, round core shots $points, shots $shots outside area, 2, rounds it to 2 places. Here's the correlation, rounded to 2 decimal points, and we type it in down at the bottom, and there you go. Again, 0.4. Not great for Coutinho's strategy. Creating a second ggplot object here called P2, just because I didn't want to overwrite the other one. So P2, ggplot with shots. The aesthetics are shots outside the area, points, label, row names of shots. So then, we just do the same thing we did last time. P2, that's this object right here, plus our geom text repel, which gives us the names of the points separated from each other. Change the X limit this time to an appropriate 4 to 7.5. Y lim stays the same. Geom point, I want red dots. You can make them whatever color you want. I want no legend because I hate legends unless they're absolutely necessary. Otherwise, again, chart junk. Avoid chart junk. YLab points. I mixed that up there. I dragged it. XLab, shots outside the area. This makes the plot title bold and makes the points here, as you can see, horizontal. Life is good. Here's our GG title. It overlaps the screen a little bit. You can hit enter to get it on the second line if you want. Pass the ball, Coutinho. Only weak correlation between shots outside the area and points. Again, our trend line, which we have right here, accompanied by 95% confidence interval. Method, linear modeling. And then we're going to annotate it with text 2. So I'm going to run that line, run that line, run all of these one more time, wait for the ggplot to show up, and there we go. Again, we're getting that sort of ugly graph with not much of a correlation between the 2 variables. This should all look very familiar. I'll upload the script online so you can download it and follow along. I'll comment it up, and life will be good. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned a little bit about R. And again, hopefully this is helping some people get involved in analytics. Thank you very much, and I will see you next time.